Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this morning to learn more about emergency rental assistance. This month marks 1 year since the COVID-19 pandemic took a decisive hold on our community. The pandemic forced us to change the way we do things. And as you are very well aware, it created an unprecedented financial burden on our local renters and tenants through no fault of their own. I want to take this time to thank you all for your patience and for helping our community maintain affordable housing for hundreds of families across East Baton Rouge Parish during these times. The last year has been difficult and challenging for all of us, but I assure you that more help is on the way. We hear you all loud and clear. This is why my team has been working diligently to not only build a swift and efficient program to support the needs of our housing providers and renters, but to develop a smooth process that can be swiftly activated in the future to respond to emergency needs at a more rapid pace. I'm glad to report that our emergency solutions portal is live, and I encourage you all to take the time to fill out your needs assessment survey. The responses to this survey will help us determine the needs of our landlords and our residents, which will help us determine how we disperse funds as efficiently and as effectively as possible. Now, vaccinations are going in arms, hospitalizations and cases are in a downward trend, and places are opening back up. All of this is well and good, but that doesn't mean we are all whole. Our goal is to make sure the residents of East Baton Rouge Parish will have the resources they need to thrive and to move forward. Stay with us and work with us. Our collaboration can make the world of difference for so many members of our community. Again, welcome and thank you for helping us keep residents in their homes. And I look forward to today's session.
Thank you very much, Mayor Broome. We are excited to share information with you all today. And as Mayor Broome said, we thank you for your patience that you all have had with all of the incidents that are happening when it comes to impacts of COVID. So I want to go through some housekeeping sessions for us and what we'll be doing today. Each of you have the ability to ask a question. You hit the chat button, the bottom right of your screen. You can submit a question. We have our moderators monitoring, and we will answer those questions either throughout the webinar or at the end. Any questions that are missed or that may not be addressed will be emailed, and we will share this information to each of you via your email addresses. We can bring the presentation up on the screen. Again, the questions that you may want to submit throughout this webinar can be presented at the chat box at the bottom throughout the meeting. It will be monitored. They will be addressed throughout the presentation or at the end of the event. My name is Courtney Scott, and I am the Chief Administrative Officer here in Mayor Broome's office that oversees the Office of Community Development. I'd also like to introduce to you our Grant Director from Bill Baton Rouge, Ms. Tasha Saunders, who will be walking through our objectives, overview, and eligibility for today. The topic of today's conversation will consist solely around landlord support and needs that we will be handling through Housing First Alliance or through the Office of Community Development. We understand that there's many questions around what's happening in regards to tenants, evictions, and court. We do have the general information that we can offer, but again, if you have questions, many of those questions will probably be responded to via email because we want to make sure that we're giving you accurate information, and many of your situations may be case by case. So Tasha, I want to turn it over to you so we can get started.
Thank you, Courtney. We can go to the next slide. We can go to the next slide. Okay, so as Courtney stated, today's call is to provide the landlords with additional information regarding the Emergency Rental Assistance Program that we are currently developing for East Baton Rouge Parish. We will discuss with you guys today our developments on the program as well as the timeline. We'll also give you guys basic eligibility requirements for our tenants, and we're going to discuss the affidavits that need to be completed by the landlords. After that, we'll talk about information on our healthy housing network and the benefits to the landlords, which is why we have you all gathered here today. Slide. As you know, we're continuing to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. In response to this effort, the United States Department of Treasury has allocated funds to the state of Louisiana and also directly to the city of Baton Rouge. The funds can be used for emergency rental assistance as well as utility assistance. Our parish right now has a potential to receive up to $29 million, and that is contingent upon our participation with the state guidelines, which we have all accepted. So the city parish is working to stand up an emergency rental assistance program that will distribute the funding needed to residents. Our program goals would be to prevent the spread of COVID infections and also to prevent evictions and homelessness. We're taking a 4-tiered approach to developing this program. It involves system development, which will be a streamlined, universal system that all of our case managers will use to process applications, and it will cut down on duplication of benefits and fraud, as well as case management support, which will consist of a call center, and we'll provide additional information for that as we go along. And then we'll have case managers who will actually process the documents and the applications that the tenants will be providing. And after that, we'll have compliance and reporting that is necessary. Next slide. So what is an eligible household? At this point, it's for the rental assistance. An eligible household is going to be defined as a renter in a household with at least that meets one of these qualifications. Someone in the household needs to qualify for unemployment or have experienced a significant reduction in household income, incurred significant costs, or experienced a significant financial hardship due to COVID.
Good morning, Mr. Burrs. This is Sharon Weston Broom. How are you doing this morning?
Okay.
Mayor, you're the speaker.
And also, home renters, can demonstrate a risk of experiencing homelessness or housing instability. This means that there may have been an eviction process that has gotten started, or an eviction that has occurred recently, and the home is no longer stable. And all of those qualifying factors, the households must be at or below 80% of the area median income. We will prioritize households with an income at or below 50% of the area median income. Those area median incomes will be determined by HUD's Baton Rouge Metropolitan Statistical Area Income Guidelines, and we can provide the link so that you all can view those guidelines as well. Eligible households can receive up to 12 months of assistance for overdue rent payments. We can't go past any rent payments that were due as of April 1st, 2020, but as of April 1st through current, if they're 12 months behind, we would be able to provide assistance to bring them current, and then also look at a situation where we can process an additional 3 months of rental assistance to keep those persons stable in their housing. And the maximum amount of assistance that we will allow per household is going to be $15,000. Slide. So, Courtney, do you want to discuss the eviction moratorium?
Yes, so I can go over this in general to give everyone information. So of course, and as you all already know, when it comes to the eviction moratorium, things are evaluated on a case-by-case basis. And speaking with the courts, this moratorium temporarily halts residential evictions that's for any person for non-payment of rent during the time of September 4th, 2020 through March 31st, 2021. And I recognize that there are a lot of questions around who qualifies, what is considered non-rent, or if you have any concerns in other areas. With that being said, we want to make sure that we're offering resources not only for tenants, but for you as landlords as well, because we appreciate the work that you all are doing to support healthy housing. So this basically means that as a landlord or an owner of a residential property, you do have the legal right to pursue an eviction or process the eviction, but the person cannot actually be evicted due to non-payment of rent. So with that, we are offering these resources as a support. As Tasha mentioned, and as Mayor also mentioned, it's really important to us that you all submit a needs assessment. So we see where you are, where your tenants are, and if they are not aware of the program and do not apply, you have referred their information and we will be able to contact them to get them to submit an application. You can go to ebremergencysolutions.com. Again, that's ebremergencysolutions.com to fill out a needs assessment for your properties. If there's any information that you may need beyond that, we invite you to email us at ocd@brla.gov. We can connect you to the legal resources or to any social services resources to refer to your tenants as well. And before the end of the presentation, we'll also share information about our Housing First Alliance that we want to make sure everyone is connected to as well. Throwing it back to you, Tasha.
Okay, thanks, Courtney. Next slide, Helen. Okay, as I mentioned before, we will have the landlords and tenants complete what's called a landlord-tenant agreement. We will be dispersing overdue rent payments directly to landlords and not the tenant. But before we're able to disperse any payments, the landlord and tenant will have to agree to the following terms, and this will provide more housing stability for the tenant, and also make sure that the landlords get their payments. So the landlords are going to have an opportunity to verify all of the information that the tenant provided, and that's going to include a unit number and also the amount of months of overdue rent and the dollar amount that should be dispersed. This will also provide an opportunity to formalize informal leases, like oral leases. And if the landlord attests, landlords that attest that they have not received any other rent relief or support that will be benefiting the tenant, they will need to let us know that. And the landlord is also going to be attesting that they own the property. And the most important thing for us is that the landlord is going to agree to not evict the tenant while they are waiting for the emergency rental assistance payment. When the tenants apply, it will be a bit of a process before payments are dispersed. So this is going to be very critical, and we are going to be really relying on support from the landlords so that we can make sure that, you know, we're not creating homelessness situations, and that the landlords will wait for our payments to come before they look at any type of eviction, especially for non-payment. Next slide. So as Courtney mentioned, we have started our emergency solutions website, and it's ebremergencysolutions.com. And there we are collecting needs assessments, which is going to be data for renters, landlords, and homeowners. We also have resources, which are other social services agencies that can provide services as well as support, and then frequently asked questions regarding the program and any information that we get from the Treasury or the state. We are constantly updating that frequently asked questions section. And then we're also providing calendar and program updates. And one of the neat things about the website is when a renter or a landlord or homeowner completes an assessment, we will put them in a queue to receive weekly updates via email and or text about the program. So it's not going to be just complete your assessment and we walk away. We're going to constantly be notifying you guys of our progress and what's going on and what you can expect in next steps. And of course, we're here now at the virtual webinar for the landlords. And then in the coming weeks, once we get ready for applications, you guys will start getting contacts from case managers. So this is our tentative timeline at this moment. Right now, you know, the website has been launched. We're at the webinar, and as of Monday, 3/15, we will have a live call center and an application site. So it will be on the ebremergencysolutions.com website, and residents will be able to go there and complete rental applications. We're also going to be doing outreach and training with our case managers that will be onboarding a little bit later on this month and next month. And then at this time, we have not set an application deadline, but the U.S. Treasury has set a deadline to expend all of the funds by December 31st of this year. Should that be extended, then we will look at a different deadline, or possibly not imposing one until later on. But right now, we're trying to make sure that we are on a track to get all the program dollars expended by 12/31.
And Tasha, if I can, I'd like to add something right there as well.
Yes.
And one thing that we also want to let all of our landlords know is that this is hopefully not the last set of dollars that we'll receive from the U.S. Treasury or from HUD. We've been in constant communication with our partners at the federal level, and we are expecting that there will be more dollars rolled down for this program. So it's very important, again, that you complete the needs assessment. I want to stress that. Complete the needs assessment at ebremergencysolutions.com, because we want to make sure that you're proactively getting the information as it rolls down. We will email you, let you know of other assistance programs that exist, and there are other support programs that are in different departments as well. For example, our Department of Human Services also has a rental assistance program as well. It's not as robust because those dollars were allocated last year, but as we continue to diversify the resources, it's important for us to know the needs that exist within our community, and that needs assessment is how we do that.
Thanks, Courtney. Next slide. So as Courtney stated, we have upcoming programs that we are really excited about. Of course, with the American Relief Act, we are anticipating additional rental assistance and utility assistance. And one of the things that we're really excited about is the mortgage assistance that will be included in that act. And now we're going to talk about the Healthy Housing Network. As Courtney mentioned, we do have other projects that are going on. The City Parish has been recently awarded $3.6 million from HUD for a lead hazard reduction program. In that program, there's going to be opportunities for landlords to get their rental properties lead hazard checked and potentially provide lead hazard reduction as well as weatherization assistance to bring those homes up to code and to make them more livable. So in an effort to support that program, we would like to develop a landlord council, which will serve as sort of an advisory council. And that's one of the reasons why it's really important that you landlords go complete your needs assessment. After Monday, we will turn the needs assessment into a landlord database registry where you will go and you can sign up to become a part of our landlord council. And you're going to do that through the EBR Emergency Solutions website. So it's very important that you continue to stay active on the website and make sure that we have your contact information. And we will continue to provide information regarding our Healthy Housing Network that we are going to be operating through the Housing First Alliance. Next slide. This brings us to our question and answer. So I'm going to turn it back over to Courtney and possibly Marjorie or Candace for questions that came in the chat.
Thank you, Tasha, for all that information. Again, if you have a question, please head to the chat button. It's at the lower portion of your screen so we can answer any questions that you have. We do have a few questions that are coming in, so I want to address those now. If someone receives rental assistance through a subsidy program, are they also eligible to receive the emergency rental assistance? If someone receives rental assistance through a subsidy program, are they also eligible to receive emergency rental assistance? We are going to have to post a response to that in an email to you all, and we're also going to add the question and answer. And the reason why is there's so many layers of subsidy programs, and this will have to be examined on a case-by-case basis. So there are some programs through the federal allowances that will allow a tenant to receive additional support, but we do have to monitor that on a case-by-case basis. So we encourage you to please monitor your emails and to head to ebremergencysolutions.com, where we will post specifics based on the types of subsidy. The webinar is being recorded, and we will post it to the EBR Emergency Solutions website as well for anyone that would like to know if it's being recorded. Another question is once you complete the application for your property 100%, and if you get a message from a tenant that they also applied and have a confirmation number, and if they need a copy of their lease and rental amount, the question is, does any landlord need to do anything else? Who should be responsible for sending the lease, the monthly payments, and the arrears? How long before caseworkers contact the landlord? So what we will be doing here, as Tasha mentioned in the timeline, and if we can bring the timeline back up to the screen so we can go over that. Once the application launches on March 15th, there will be a processing time, and the tenant will be responsible for uploading their rental amount, their lease, and information. The landlord contact will be required to be submitted. So if there's follow-up information, one of our caseworkers may reach out to you. Once the tenant is assigned to a caseworker and we go through the processing, if there's any more information that is needed, we will follow up with the landlord. Please note that the tenant is responsible for uploading their information, their lease, and their monthly payments. It's very important that you communicate with your tenant so you all get on the same page of amounts or knowing what's happening there. And the caseworkers will follow up with you as a landlord to get information. Payments are set to landlords as the first round of intention for us to contact. But again, your tenant does have to apply and submit all the documents. The next question is the money only for rentals in East Baton Rouge Parish? And yes, that is correct. For right now, East Baton Rouge Parish is only providing rental support for our parish. There are programs that are set with Louisiana Housing Corporation, and we will make sure that that is also on the Q&A that will go on the website as well, if you're looking for any support outside of East Baton Rouge Parish, but this program is solely for our parish. Is all of this information discussed today on the website or set for reference later? The answer is yes to that. We will post the PowerPoint to the ebrEmergencySolutions.com website. And again, we encourage you to please complete the needs assessment. So as we roll out this information and any updates, you will be on our ongoing contact list. The next question is, under the condition of the moratorium and not processing evictions, while we are waiting for payment, will the landlord get confirmation that the payment is approved, that the application is approved, or that they're in processing? So the answer there is yes. Our case managers will provide updates on the application status to the landlords and the tenants. We will also have a call center, and we'll be releasing that phone number once the application launches, where the caseworkers and our call center team will be able to give you updates and status reports on the applications. The next question is there a deadline as the landlords for the landlords to apply? As of now, no deadlines have been established yet, and we are working closely with our state partners and federal partners to continue making sure that we're looking at all of the resources available to our parish, not just through this program, but any future allocations, and to make sure that we address as many needs as possible for our residents. The next question is, how can we bridge the gap between now and December 31st if we have to wait all year for the support dollars? So for an update, the application deadline has not been set, and also we are responsible as a parish to spend the funds by December 31st. That does not mean that you will have to wait that long in order for you to be processed. So all of the funds need to be expended, as I mentioned. That means that the city parish needs to pay them out to residents. For residents and for tenants, you will get a much quicker turnaround for your application. Once it goes in, you will have information from an assigned caseworker that will let you know your timeline to receive payment, as well as how much of the payment we will be supporting you with. So I hope that's helpful. The next question is, the needs assessment asks if residents were evicted at our property. If we evicted a non-COVID affected resident during the pandemic, will that affect our eligibility for emergency assistance? This sounds like a question that honestly should be answered on a case-by-case basis. So what we'll ask is that you send an email about your specific situation with contact information to ocd@brla.gov. Again, that is ocd@brla.gov. The next question is, if someone is approved to receive money for the past due rent as of April 1st, 2020, what would happen if they owe money prior to that time? This program is specifically set to respond to the impacts of COVID-19, so we do have date limitations that is set there. I think what you would need to do is work with your tenant, or you would need to contact us as well so we can connect you to a healthy housing resource partner. And that email again is ocd@brla.gov. Just a reminder, this program is very specific to COVID-19 impacts, and the time frame starts with that April 1 deadline from 2020. The next question is, what is the expected turnaround time? We're working through the applications and we're working through all the systems to be able to set up. So once we get information and we see the processes that have been submitted by the tenant, it all starts with making sure all of the required documentation is processed and submitted. Caseworkers will be available to give each person a timeline. And again, that is a case-by-case basis, just depending upon the situation of the tenant and the landlord. The next question is, if the tenant is unable to upload documents or does not have access to a computer, is there another way for them to send in the required information? The answer there is yes. We will have a call center that will be able to assist and support in processing applications. And we are also going to be doing outreach in the community. So we will have set days that we share with you in locations where people can come to submit their applications in person if they do not have access to a computer. The next question is, can renters apply for just the 3 months of future assistance and not the back pay? The answer there is yes. All the applications, of course, are on a case-by-case basis, and they will be analyzed and allocated based on each individual situation. Can late fees be charged and paid? No, only the monthly rental amount. As a participant of this program, landlords will be required to waive all fees and penalties because we want to make sure that we're covering rental amounts for each month and making sure that we can spread this through as many people as needed as possible. Will checks and payments be made via direct deposit or a physical check? Again, that's a case-by-case situation, but it is our anticipation that we will be able to offer both options. Another question is, where do we find average income level data? That information will be made available on ebremergencysolutions.com. For elderly or disabled tenants, can I, as the landlord, assist my tenant with completion of the application? The answer is yes. In the event that a tenant is unable to complete the application on their own, the landlord may assist, but please remember that the tenant themselves will have to sign off on submission of the application, and they will have to provide their documentation to do so. So you can assist as a third party, but you cannot submit it on behalf of your tenant. Another question is, if someone previously applied under the Louisiana State Emergency Rental Assistance Program offered by UREC or by LHC, are we still waiting on a decision? And if they're still waiting on a decision, can they also apply under City Parishes program? And yes, we're working with the state directly. Those applications from LREP will be rolled over as a part of the East Baton Rouge Parish Emergency Rental Assistance Program. In the acknowledgements portion of the application for landlords, it states that we agree to waive past due rent as well as late fees and penalties. Other programs have not asked to waive past due rent. My owner will not allow me to agree to this. Is waiving past due rent the correct verbiage? So this is for past due fees and penalties. Past due rent from April 1st to 2020 through now is eligible in the program. If there's past due rent prior to that time, that is not being managed through this program. So the waiver that we are asking for is specifically for any fees or penalties associated with the time of April 1st, 2020 through now. Will the call center do intake? Has any agencies been selected to administer case management? There has not been an agency that has been solely selected to administer this case management or for the call center, but what you can do is submit an RFP for participation in the program. That RFP is available at brla.gov. That is available at brla.gov/community development. brla.gov/community development. And if you'd like to email for more information, you can email ocd@brla.gov. The next question is, if an application is denied, will eviction be allowed? If the application is denied for some reason, we will refer the renter to additional services that they may qualify for. And again, that's going to be through our Housing First Alliance. Where do tenants go to set up applications? The application link will be posted on Monday, March 15th to the ebremergencysolutions.com site, ebremergencysolutions.com site. Will tenants who get Social Security or retirement benefits qualify for this program? The household income is the factor that we look at here, and it's calculated on a case-by-case basis. So the household income, regardless of the funding source, has to be at or below 80% of the area median income to be eligible. So we still encourage everyone to submit their application, not to make any assumptions there. So that way you still get the information and of course still submit a needs assessment. And there are a few other questions that are in that seem to be more of a case-by-case basis. So if you submitted a question and it was not answered during this time, please know that you will receive an email with an update of all of our frequently asked questions. And all of these questions will also go on our website in the FAQ section at ebremergencysolutions.com. At this time, I do want to share more information about our healthy housing agenda and the Housing First Alliance. As Tasha mentioned to you, this is an ongoing support system that we want to continue to set up with you all. And the mission of the Housing First Alliance is to engage our stakeholders in prioritizing healthy, affordable housing and making sure that we're nurturing partnerships with stakeholders like yourselves and with other organizations to create healthy, affordable housing for all. Our main two strategies that we'll be doing there is outreach and advocacy to inform the public about needs and gaps in our community, and that does start with each of you. We will be making sure that we stay in communication with you, as well as sending surveys and getting information from you to make sure that we're providing as many resources as we can for not only you as landlords, but for the tenants as well, to make sure that people can afford housing and they have the resources to support them to surround that. So at this time, we will conclude our webinar. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you so much again for your patience and the support that you've done to support our community during this time. And if you ever have any questions, again, you can email us at ocd@brla.gov and contact us at brla.gov/community development. Thank you again.